This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Larson versus Reinhardt and Clarkson. Mr. Larson, it's this court's understanding that you are suing Ms. Reinhardt and Ms. Clarkson for $2.4 million for past medical bills, $100,000 for future medical bills, and $2.5 million for pain and suffering, for a total of $5 million. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Reinhardt, Ms. Clarkson, you all believe that his injuries are his fault. That is, you provided a concert, he was injured, he got what he paid for.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, now let's get into the legal sauce. Mr. Larson, tell me how you got to go into this concert.
Well, Your Honor, me and my girlfriend have been dating for 2 years now. We met at a video game convention 2 years ago, and we shared similar interests.
Both you all are music lovers?
Yes. I'm also a pro gamer, so I play video games competitively and sometimes for stream online.
You get paid to play games?
Yes,
okay.
Your Honor.
All right.
And so we were wanting to do something special for our 2-year anniversary, and we have never been to an Epik Starr concert together. Epik Starr is my favorite artist ever. I've been to well over 10 Epik Starr concerts in the past.
So you really like Epik Starr?
Yes.
Ms. Starr, that's gotta feel good.
Yes.
To have fans who love you like that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I just love the way she talks about love and peace in her music.
So she really connects with you with the music.
Yes, and I think she connects with a lot of her fans. When you go to her concerts, they're energetic events. You go and everyone is full of energy.
Ms. Clarkson, you're the owner of this venue, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you have these kind of concerts all the time?
All the time. We actually really wanted Miss Epik Starr to come and perform because it was her American tour. It was the last leg. It's a pretty hype type of atmosphere, so it was standing room only. And she did an amazing job.
So, Ms. Starr, you're expecting all these fans out there, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
People who love you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does it ever get old for you?
No, it doesn't. My most important thing is to make sure my fans are happy. Like he said, I'm about peace, love, and, just connecting with my fans. And that's the most important part to me, making sure everyone's safe and everyone's having a great time, pretty much.
And you mentioned safe. I imagine when you realized that this young man was injured, it kind of got to you.
Yes, Your Honor, because like I said, I do care about my fans, so it does bother me that he is injured.
So, Mr. Larson, you and your girlfriend, you go to the venue. Where do you decide to stand?
Well, we wanted to get as close to the front of the stage as possible because seeing her up in person, she really brings the energy to the whole crowd.
She's got a good show.
Yes, exactly. And she has this signature move she does near the end of every concert.
Signature move?
Yes, where she stage dives off the concert and then crowd surfs around for a while.
Tell me how it happens and what do you do?
At every single one of my concerts, I always do the stage dive, or crowd surf.
Okay.
At every single one of them. Like he said, he's been to 10 to 20 of my concerts, so he knows this, that's
you do it every time?
Every single one of them.
This is what my middle son calls the hype move.
Yes, they love it, and that's why I do it every single one, because like I said, it's about pleasing them. So they love when I do it. Everyone knows, so it's an awesome time. They know that I'm coming because I say, like, 3, 2, 1, here I come, like, so that they know that they're ready
so like
for me
3,
to come out.
2, 1,
yeah, and then here I come, and then I jump out, and then, they know that I'm coming. They know to be careful and to pay attention, catch me and everything, yeah.
Okay, and that's what you anticipated, Mr. Larson? That she was going to jump off the stage?
Absolutely. We were trying to
Tell me how you got hurt.
Well, Your Honor, we knew that at the very end of the concert, Epik Starr does her signature stage dive. And since we knew that was coming, we were hoping to get out a little early to avoid the crowds when we were leaving the concert hall. And so we were on our way out. I turned around and suddenly I feel a sharp pain in the back of my neck.
Now, when you turned, did you turn away from the stage?
Yes, Your Honor, towards the exits.
So what happened next after you turned?
I felt the sharp pain in the back of my neck, and it crumpled me over. My girlfriend came over to see if I was all right, and when I turned around, I saw that Epik Starr had kicked me in the back of the head.
If you were turned around, there's no way you could see if I kicked you.
So, Ms. Starr, do you remember this event?
No, I do not recall this at all.
Ms. Clarkson, were you there?
I was there.
What do you remember?
Your Honor, I did not see the kick. However, I did see him fall down. I sent over the head of security. He's been with me 10 years. I trust him. And I went over to see if he was okay. He stated that he was fine, that nothing was hurt, that he was okay.
So, Mr. Larson, at that time, you were okay.
Yes.
You felt the pain, but you weren't feeling much more than
it seemed like a minor injury at best. I was with my girlfriend. I didn't want to seem like a wimp needing help out of the theater. But by the time we got to our car, I was having such an excruciating headache that I didn't feel safe driving anymore.
And this was caused by the stage dive?
Yeah.
Ms. Starr, look at the plasma here. This is kind of, is this the way it happens?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this how you end up when you connect with the crowd?
Yes, Your Honor, it is. That's why I don't see how there's any way that I could have kicked him. How high they hold me up. Like I said, I say 3, 2, 1, here I come. They know I'm coming, so they hold it up. That way it's all safe.
Okay, so Ms. Starr jumps off the stage. You feel an impact to the back of your head. Then what happens?
Well, Your Honor, the next day I woke up with continued severe head pain and whiplash.
And you didn't feel this the night before when you were at the concert?
No, it got much worse overnight. And when I finally decided to do something about it, my girlfriend took me to the ER, and the doctors confirmed that I had whiplash from a blunt force trauma to the back of my head. The headaches were included in that. The doctor gave me a neck brace and told me to keep an eye on things, but it didn't get better after that.
Your Honor.
In fact, 10 days later, I suffered a stroke.
For the record, how old are you?
24 years old, Your Honor.
Your Honor.
And you believe this stroke was caused by this stage dive?
Yes, the doctor that I saw after
And
my
the kick
stroke.
in your head?
Yes.
And he said that he had this 10 days later, so I don't get how that has anything to do with my concert. I'm sorry that it happened to you. It's a terrible thing, especially at your age, but it wasn't my fault if it happened 10 days after.
Your Honor, I would like to point out that I do have a witness to the kick in the back of my head.
Okay.
While I had turned around to leave, my girlfriend was still behind me,
and I see
watching Epik Starr.
that you brought your girlfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you please step to the podium so I can hear from you, because I want to hear what you saw. For the record, what is your name?
My name is Gina McNeil.
Now, Miss McNeil, you were at the concert with Mr. Larson, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me what you saw.
I saw Epik Starr kick him in the back of the head.
That is not true.
It's
But-
exactly true.
I didn't kick him.
Excuse
Obviously,
me,
you're going to take your boyfriend's
The security
side.
guard watched it
Folks, we need to have order. We need to have order. Please continue, Miss McNeil.
Yes, Your Honor. So he was definitely in pain. The security guard also witnessed it happen along with myself. I also have proof of the text message he sent me the next morning. Excuse me, I'm talking.
Ma'am.
So the next morning, he texted me talking about headaches and trouble breathing and chest pains. And
Your Honor.
But that's not proof that I did it.
So
not proof that I
you
did.
said you have a text message with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Sheriff Matt, could you retrieve that from Miss McNeil?
Your Honor, while you're waiting on that text message, you heard the Mr.
you.
Larson state that we offered him.
So, Miss
medical
McNeil, this is the
treatment.
text message that you received?
Yes, Your Honor.
This was the day after this concert?
The morning after.
And this is what you received. It reads, "Hey, babe, that kick really blanked me up. I have terrible whiplash and my chest hurts. I'm going to take a nap. I'll call you when I wake up."
That's ridiculous.
Now, 10 days later, you have a stroke.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me how that developed. What happened? How did you know something had changed?
Well, the headache kept getting increasingly worse as the time went on. And another symptom that I started experiencing was trouble breathing. And these just progressed and continued progressing, clearly to the point where I had a stroke.
I really am sorry.
Ms. Clarkson, you look like you are in pain. Tell me what's on your mind.
I'm just really baffled at the timeline.
What bugs you is the 10 days.
That and the fact that we offered him, we did our due diligence. We
Yes,
followed
ma'am.
protocol. So for
But
him
it
to come
can't
out,
really surprise you that someone would get injured when a person jumped from the stage
Actually,
on
it
stage.
really does.
I
Right?
actually have
actually does.
Your Honor, I have the shoes I was wearing that night. They're fuzzy boots. I can show you. And there's no way something like this
So Mr. Larson,
could have caused him
you were
any
kicked with
trauma
that
to his
boot?
head.
I was kicked with that boot with a person wearing it.
She's very
person.
petite.
Sheriff Matt, would you retrieve that boot for me?
That hurts.
Let me see the boot.
Your attitude hurts, honey.
And Matt, I'm telling you, it's not your size, okay?
A little bit too small, Your Honor.
Now, as I feel on this boot, there's a lot of padding. This is what you were kicked with?
With someone's foot inside of it, yes.
And Miss McNeil,
Collided with the back of my neck.
this boot hitting him in the back of the head is what you remember.
Yes, Your Honor.
She gave them a here I come.
Why
would you turn
Here I
around?
come.
Mr. Larson, did you hear, here I come? Well, let me ask you this. Had you heard it in the past at Miss Starr's concert?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you know the dive is coming.
Yes, Your Honor.
Exactly.
Did you hear it that night?
Your Honor, I did hear the
Thank you.
"Here I come" coming
you.
from the
And you
stage.
By the
Turn
time you're
around.
walking out, it all happened so fast.
And he
But
chose to turn
exactly.
around.
But that
I was
exactly,
already
that was his
turned
choice to turn
around.
around. But I never hit anyone. Someone else could have hit
Yes,
you.
you did.
You
Folks,
heard, here I come,
folks.
and you had the precaution.
Order in this court. We'll have order in this court.
Why would he turn
One
around?
of the problems you all are having with this is that there's a 10-day delay between the concert and the stroke. This court consulted a doctor
Okay.
who's going to give us some light on this 10-day delay.
Alrighty.
Sheriff Matt, will you go get Dr. Vaughn? Sure. Dr. Vaughn, come on in.
Thank you.
So, doctor, for the record, state your name, please.
My name is Dr. Neelam Vaughn.
Dr. Vaughn, could you please explain the plaintiff's injuries?
It appears that Mr. Larson suffered from a blunt force trauma to the back of his head and later suffered from a vertebral artery dissection.
Doctor, explain what happens to the body when a person is having a stroke.
So you have an injured vessel, you have blood going through, and it either gets stopped all the way and blocks the artery, or it goes through very slowly. What happens is that you can't have enough oxygen in your brain, which you need for it to keep functioning. See that area right there, all that black area? That's dead tissue from a lack of oxygen, which is what we know as a stroke.
Once the tissue dies, what happens to the brain?
All that brain, that corresponds to things in your body.
So basically, how your body is damaged depends on how much your brain is damaged.
Absolutely, and where it's damaged.
Now, doctor, here, 10 days from day one when he's hitting the back of the head to the time of the stroke, is that possible?
Yes, it's possible. In fact, it's likely.
Thank you, doctor.
My pleasure.
You are released. Mr. Larson, obviously, these injuries have been pretty difficult for you.
Your Honor, for me, these injuries are life-changing. I make my money playing video games, and I need both my arms in order to play games properly. For me, this is game over.
It is not game over. This is a new game beginning. This is a challenge, but your injuries do not define you in any way. You still have a very bright future, and it's time to get excited about the new normal. So things are going to be okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I think I've heard enough. I'm ready to render my decision. In every personal injury case, there are three elements. The plaintiff, the people suing, you, Mr. Larson, must prove that your injuries were caused by something they did wrong. That is, wrong caused injury. Here, you decided to go to a concert with your girlfriend. You did not expect to have a life-changing event, and here we are. You all expected kind of the same thing, to have the last leg of your tour be triumphant with this stage dive, and that your forum hosted yet another successful event. The problem is something obviously went wrong. Here, Mr. Larson, you kind of knew she was going to jump off the stage. In fact, how she was going to do it, because you heard, "Here I come." Mr. Larson, you were aware that there was a risk of injury. Here, you understood she was going to dive off the stage, and I find that makes you partially responsible for this. But I find that you all are mostly responsible for it, because this whole thing could have been prevented if you hadn't dived off the stage. Just common sense that when you dive off a stage, even a petite woman like yourself, someone can get hurt. Someone did get hurt. Mr. Larson, you are suing Ms. Reinhardt and Ms. Clarkson for $5 million.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Larson, I'm not giving you the full $5 million because you are partially responsible. And I find that you are 20% responsible for your injuries. Ms. Reinhardt, Ms. Clarkson, I find that each of you is 40% responsible for Mr. Larson's injuries. And in that regard, Mr. Larson, I'm not giving you $5 million, but I am awarding you $4 million against these defendants. That is my final decision, and this matter is adjourned. Mr. and Mrs. Rathmell, it's my understanding that you are suing for injuries that Mr. Rathmell sustained while you were on vacation at this spa. You all are asking this court to award you $40,000 for your past medical expenses, $5,000 for your future medical expenses, and $200,000 for pain and suffering, for a total award of $245,000, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Clarke, you're here representing Lux Days Resort and Spa, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe that had they followed the directions that they were given, they never would have been injured?
Yes, Your Honor, wholeheartedly.
Well, let's get into the legal sauce. Mr. and Mrs. Rathmell, how did you all get to choose Lux Days Resort and Spa?
Well, it's the first spot that he took me when we honeymooned. So it was pretty romantic of him to kind of take me back, actually. And we enjoyed it. It was about 10 years ago, a decade ago, but it was fantastic.
We had a great experience at that time. I know it was young love, but that young love is still going on now, so.
I met John during a blind date. My best friend set us up. I was not looking forward to seeing anybody, but this guy here kind of schmoozed me over.
I'm romantic like that.
Romance is beautiful.
Yes, sir. This young lady left her medical field to come support my business, which has grown immensely because of her. And so I said, hey, you know, it's time to do something nice.
Gladly.
Well, Mrs. Rathmell, you've got some medical training.
Yeah, I have about 8 years as a nurse, but I gave all that up for this guy. I mean, we're running our own company, so he kind of needed the help behind the scenes, so I do all the administrative work and hiring contractors and things like that.
Mr. Clarke, you are here representing Lux Days Spa and Resort, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me about the resort.
I started working at the Lux Days Resort and Spa about 10 years ago when I was in college. I started off as a bellman, and I worked my way up to a management position. Our resort offers anything you would want on a dream vacation. We have gourmet food, state-of-the-art fitness facilities, and we also offer a private view of the beach, as you can see here.
Yes, beautiful. So couples come there to have a relaxing time on the beach, enjoying the restaurants. That's the way it's supposed to work.
Yes, Your Honor. We have thousands of guests annually, repeat guests, because they love what we have, and we do our best to keep them coming back.
So what happened?
That morning, I woke up and, you know, I went and got a little mani-pedi, a little alone time for myself while I let my husband sleep. And I kind of signed us up for a little couples massage. He's hard on himself, so, you know, I decided, you know, let's get some massages. So then we went and had some lunch, and we're from the Midwest, so we don't have many beaches. So they do have beautiful views, so we walked along the beach and just reminiscing about our 10 years together. Suddenly, it just became a little bit more cooler, so my husband suggested, honey, maybe we should just gather our things. Then suddenly, a gust of wind started coming our way.
Well, I'll tell you. Now, I'm gonna have to jump in there because this is the part that got me a little upset. Now,
all right.
I know we can't control the wind, we can't control what's going on with it, but as we were going back, I saw, as the gust picked up, an umbrella coming through. Umbrella was coming at my wife like a missile.
Like the umbrellas that you sit under when you're trying to tan again?
Yes, sir. The big beach umbrella with all the metal and a nylon and all that stuff there.
Like this umbrella in the courtroom?
Exactly like that one right there, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, now I saw that coming at my wife.
It was airborne.
It was airborne. It was coming like a missile. Okay. Now my thing, naturally, first of all, I'm a man. This is my woman. I'm gonna protect my woman. So I jumped in front of her, making sure it did not hit her. She's gorgeous. I'm not gonna let anything hurt this woman. All right. So I jumped in front of it and I got hit in my back left side here. Now, Your Honor, I was a very good amateur boxer.
Yes, sir.
12-1 record, never been knocked down. I never got hit as hard as I did when that umbrella hit me in my side.
So this umbrella comes out of the sand and it's airborne like a javelin.
It's airborne, Your Honor. It came at her like it was just targeting her. It's like it was a direct missile for her.
It knocked him out so hard, Your Honor, that he couldn't even breathe. And the next thing that I seen was like his face was bleeding and I didn't know where it was coming from. And although I am in the medical field, I was trying to tend to him and also calm my own nerves. It felt like it took hours for someone to come help us, Your Honor.
Did you realize at that time that you were badly injured?
Not as bad as I eventually found out, Your Honor. I mean, I know I got hit in the backside. I didn't know the extensiveness of the damage until later. I just knew I was hurt.
Mr. Clarke, how did you come to know that something bad had happened?
Well, first and foremost, the weather earlier in the day was perfect. It was just fine, like they said. But I had my security staff monitor the forecast 24/7.
Okay.
And they told me that inclement weather and a possible storm was approaching. So I told all my staff to make sure all of the guests go inside and get off of the beach, just because, you know, we don't know what's going to happen in a storm.
What time was that, sir?
In the morning.
In the morning. So why didn't you guys warn us early?
Miss Rathmell, I appreciate that. And those are appropriate questions, but they kind of come from me.
Sorry, Your
Okay?
Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. So why didn't you tell the guests earlier?
We knew that a storm was possibly coming, but we weren't for certain. But once we were certain that it was coming our way and that could be severe, that's when we decided to, you know, get all the guests off the beach, have them gather their things. I had one of my employees speak to the Rathmells. The Rathmells said they would leave.
No.
That is
and
not
they never
true.
did. I actually have
It's a storm, of course it's going to be
I have
windy.
security footage of the weather from the incident.
Okay.
And the bottom line, that's not our fault. You know, it's nature.
So this is security footage from that day.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. and Mrs. Rathmell, the wind was blowing like that?
Well, Your Honor, by the time it got to that point, we were already at our location picking our stuff up. It wasn't that hard at first. When it got to that point, we were moving our stuff and going in towards the inside. You know, there was no sense of urgency from the message telling everybody to move in.
So with winds like this, it picked that umbrella up and sent it airborne. It was going to impale your wife. That's why you stepped in the way.
It was going to hit
kind of like a sail, Your Honor. If you imagine a sail in the wind,
right.
This is not our
hard.
This is not our fault, Your Honor. It was the wind.
How could this not be your fault?
It was coming.
These are your umbrellas, right?
Yeah, these are our umbrellas, but we told all guests to get off the beach. They refused to leave. Everyone else was going. They were the only ones who stayed.
Did y'all get that warning? That is, you need to get up and leave now.
Your Honor, they came and kindly told us to leave softly. There was no sense of urgency in anybody's voice.
My employees don't yell. We're going to be polite.
Big hold up, sir.
Y'all, when you look at this video, you got to understand, those are very, very strong winds. Everybody can see that, right?
Well, Judge, we're from the Midwest, so winds they're common to us. But there have been reports all over the news that other resorts have gone through this with beaches and they're having to secure their equipment. So they're such experts on the wind and the rain. Shouldn't they be experts at what's happening at other resorts?
Now, you submitted this video to the court. Is that how the wind was blowing out there that day?
Exactly, Your Honor. They should have secured those umbrellas. You see how hard those winds are going and you see the umbrellas flying? That thing was like a 2x4.
Those things are moving fast, so it just doesn't seem the same on TV. In person, those things are moving fast.
That's nothing.
This is another resort where the umbrellas had a mind of their own.
Correct. And it was all over the news.
Had they been secure, so they wouldn't be flying around like that.
So they may not be able to secure everything. You would think that
Your
these
Honor,
folks
I had
were
my
able to do that.
employees securing the umbrellas as we were escorting guests off
Mr.
the
Clarke,
beach.
that's a dangerous situation. A lot of people could have been killed out there. You talked about this umbrella nearly impaling you, and I see you've hurt your neck. Tell me about your injuries.
Well, sir, at the backside, I have 2 broken ribs, all right? A punctured lung. Of course, you should see the bruising. I could show you the bruising as well, sir, if you have it. I have my neck, I had whiplash, and of course, I got a gash to this beautiful face, which my wife still loves. But
I see you're asking this court to give you $40,000 for your past medicals and $5,000 for your future medicals. Now, the biggest number you're seeking is $200,000 for pain and suffering.
Yes,
Tell me
sir.
about that. That's a lot of money.
Well, sir, I tell you, right now, again, I'm a construction owner. All right, so I do a lot of heavy lifting. I work with my men. I don't just give them direction. I'm there with them. I also have children and a wife that I want to love and hug. We have a very active lifestyle. I have a hard time raising my arm. I have a hard time breathing. Well, you got to let it heal, but it costs money.
Yes, sir.
It costs money to run a business. It costs money to have a family, and it costs money for those medical expenses. Can I give you a good look at it, sir?
Now, this is where the umbrella actually hit you.
Yes, sir. I tell you, I've never been hit like this before.
Wow.
So, Your Honor, this is day 2 at the resort. Not to mention the fact that we had to cut our vacation short and we were in the hospital the whole time.
Mr. Clarke, this isn't how this is supposed to turn out. This could have been a death case.
Oh, it definitely could have been deadly. And it's very unfortunate that, Mr. Rathmell got injured, but we can't control the weather or how fast it comes. So we have systems and protocols put in place for inclement weather.
It reads what to do 30 minutes before storm arrives. Number 1, notify all guests that a storm is coming. Y'all did that.
With the text message.
Number 2, any guest on the beach must leave immediately until the weather clears and announcement is made. Number 3 is secure all beach furniture in nearby storage. That's what you all were trying to do as you asked people to get off the beach. Really, all 3 of those things ought to be happening.
Correct.
Which it sounds like what you all tried to do.
Yes, we did the first 2. We were also doing the third.
But Mr. Clarke, you understand that had you secured this umbrella,
at 9.
it never would have impaled Mr. Rathmell, right?
I understand that, but...
That's right.
Either way, we were securing the umbrellas, but we also sent them a text message as well at 1:30.
Well, you've submitted that to the court.
Closed.
Let's take a look at it. It reads, attention all guests, please be advised that we are expecting high winds today. Listen for alerts from our resort staff for your safety. We hope you continue to enjoy your stay at Lux Days. That's what you sent to all guests.
Yes,
Does that
Your Honor.
sound urgent?
Did you all get that text message?
We did not get it, first of all, sir, because we left our phones and everything in our room. We didn't have our...
It's 2019. Who leaves their phone in their room?
Well, who takes...
Listen, it's a getaway.
It's a resort. It was a loving getaway. We wanted to be disconnected from everybody but each other.
We were unplugged, Your Honor.
Now, you brought one of your staff with you, Mr. Doug Jenkins. All right, Mr. Jenkins, if you would rise and go to the podium, what is your role in this whole story?
So I was working at the resort that day, and we had been informed that morning that there was potential of inclement weather later that day. And there was a warning text sent out to all of our patrons to be alert and to be aware.
Exactly.
So, however, when we noticed that weather was starting to pick up, the winds were starting to get a little bit higher, that's when we officially closed the beach down. At around 1:30, we sent out another message letting all of our patrons know the facility was shut down. They needed to move inside for their safety.
So there were 2 warnings sent, written warnings?
2 official written warnings and then 1 verbal warning, because I ran into the Rathmells on the beach.
You remember this?
Yes, sir, very specifically.
He did.
So what happened?
I told them that the weather was picking up and that for their safety, they needed to vacate the area and the beach was closed. They refused.
Which is what we were starting to do.
So do you all remember that conversation?
Well, I do. His message had no sense of urgency whatsoever.
Your Honor, I train my staff to be polite. We're not going to yell at anybody or drag anybody inside. All we can do is warn them.
Well, Your Honor, it has nothing to do about being polite.
We'll do this. Say it to me the way you said it to them.
I said, the weather is expected to get worse. The beach is closed temporarily. We will let you know if it reopens, but for now, we need you to gather your belongings and head inside for your safety.
Now,
Not at all.
What makes it more urgent than that? Now, y'all, one of the things that I learned in law school is common sense never leaves the courtroom.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay? Common sense kind of tells you when the wind is blowing like that, you need to get up and get.
That's what we were doing. That's what we were doing. At the end of the day, Your Honor, they were not prepared for this storm in the morning time. So let's say 15 minutes before a storm hits. You never know when a storm is going to hit. Why didn't they prepare early that morning?
Or maybe you guys should have been inside.
Mr. Jenkins, thank you, sir.
Like I said, Your Honor, he wants us to stay inside because of a possibility of a storm.
And we were in the process of going inside.
We can't be held liable. If we tell you to leave with weather like this and you want to stay outside because you're from the Midwest
They did not secure their equipment on
then that's
time,
their
Your
business.
Honor.
Your gear should have been locked down in the first place.
The gear was locked down and you should have been inside.
out there?
Right.
I think I've heard what I need to hear. I'm ready to render my decision. Folks, in every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove that the defendant was wrong and that the defendant's wrong caused your harm. Your harm is undisputed, so that stands. What you must prove is that the resort did something wrong that caused these injuries. Here, you all have put up evidence with videos showing blowing umbrellas. You've shown that you were trying to get out and this umbrella came in the air and nearly impaled you. You believe that the resort should have warned you with more passion, and they should have secured those umbrellas so you'd have a safe opportunity to get off the beach. Mr. Clarke, on behalf of the resort, you've put up a vigorous defense. You believe had they heeded your instruction, your warning by Mr. Jenkins to get off the beach, Mr. Rathmell would have never been injured.
Yes, Your Honor.
The three tentacles of the law that touch this case, one is act of God. No one can anticipate certain weather events, certain things happening. It's not like God threw the umbrella at you, but these winds kicked up, it sounds like somewhat unexpectedly, and sent this umbrella flying. In a courtroom, an act of God is no one's fault. The second legal principle is personal responsibility, and that is when you're given a warning, you gotta heed that warning. Personal responsibility is important even when you're trying to protect someone else, and that is the third tentacle of the law. Mr. Rathmell, when you tried to protect your wife, that is a very, very noble thing to do. Under the law, though, you have now assumed the responsibility of harm. That is the biggest legal principle that presides here. You have been warned, you were supposed to get off the beach, you stepped in the way and you were hurt instead of your wife. And despite your injuries, I must find in favor of Lux Days Resort and Spa and against you. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.